Hello and welcome to the channel. In today's video, I am continuing to photograph books on my bed because I don't have my life together. For those of you that are new, my husband and I are both part-time eBay sellers. We've been doing this since 2003. We have been actively working at it since, I want to say 2015. So about 10 years, which is absolutely terrifying. We were looking through some older listings, which again is absolutely terrifying. They've been on there for so long, but some of them, I was very, very pregnant with my youngest child in a couple of the listings. So it's been a while. We still don't have our crap together, and we basically resell to pay for what we buy. Not what we buy to sell, but what we buy for our personal use, but then we will also buy items to sell with that, and we resell to pay for the whole purchase. Recently we've been doing a lot more online local auctions. One of our auction houses went completely online during COVID, and they found out that they could make a lot more money online than they do in-person auctions. So they still have a majority of their auctions are online. They run for a week. They list all the items. We're hit and miss with them though. But we have recently done 3 or 4 lots. I made a previous video about doing a lot where I won a bunch of dollar lots, which could not believe. We just picked up another one. We lost our money on some stuff because it wasn't in the quality that it was advertised to be. Granted, they do sell everything as is, but several of the things we bought had been pretty damaged. We bought a lot of Coca-Cola Christmas ornaments, like a large lot of them, and several of the ornaments, I would say over half of them, had been broken and glued back together. And that was not mentioned in anything. Granted, they don't mention anything in the listings. They just take the pictures. We've been burned by this auction house before. We have the infamous That Is Not a Tent, where we are avid campers. My husband and I are both very active in our local scout troops. I spent 6 weeks last summer at a scout camp, multiple different scout camps. So we saw a lot that was advertising a bunch of tents, and we did bid on them. We did win them. And we did not get a single functional tent. One was an actual tent, so I think we bought 5, and one of the 5 was an actual tent, but there were no poles or stakes, so it was a parachute, essentially. If you ever played the parachute game in PE, pretty non-usable. Another one was a really nice Coleman rocking chair, like a camp rocking chair, so we came out ahead on that. Another one was a carport that would have caused a divorce had we kept it. So we go in a little leery to this auction. We got a little ahead of ourselves, and we did end up losing some money on some items, like a popcorn popper. Ironically, the things we lost money on, the biggest one was when we bought for personal use. It was one of those popcorn poppers on wheels, quite large. The picture was taken at a angle that made it seem bigger than it was. Yes, it was on wheels, but it was definitely not the size that we thought it was. We brought an extra vehicle to pick it up because we thought it was a large popcorn popper. It was definitely not. But we made out kind of good in 2 other areas. And again, we tend to make better in dollar lots. We tend to make our money back in dollar lots, and I should just buy dollar lots and not actually go for anything expensive. A couple of the dollar lots had, one of them had Cutco knives in them, and go look them up on eBay. Cutco knives are great. Awful MLM brand took advantage of people doing door-to-door sales, but the knives sell great on eBay. That was in the bottom of one of the lots. I will say, because silver prices are going insane right now, they had solid silver case of utensils that normally would go high. It would normally go probably $200. This thing went for $3,600 $3,600 for a box of silverware. Again, he advertised it as pure silver, but this is also the guy that sold us 5 tents, and one was a tent and non-functional. So I definitely would not spend that much. 50 is pretty much my limit at these auctions because I know that I've been burned before. So I would definitely not go 3,000. I mean, quite frankly, I don't have 3,000 to do that with, but I was like, oh, that went really, really high. Even silver plated stuff was going pretty high. But in the dollar box, I found several silver pieces of utensils. They just were odd. I found 3. I bought like a big box of utensils. A Tupperware tub of utensils, and I had Cutco knives in there. I had 3 shrimp forks that were silver. They were marked silver, so that was $1. It had vintage melamine, like ladle and spatula and all that stuff. So that would sell. Where we got screwed on the popcorn machine that we thought was, a great price, whatever. We also bought a Blackstone grill for under $50. It is not the huge Blackstone, but it is the smaller traveling one, which is, we knew what it was going in. We got a good deal on that. That is fine. It was in better shape than we thought. So we were okay with that, but 50 was our top. Again, because we weren't sure of the quality of the grill. It just really needs cleaned, but otherwise it's great. All of its hinges are great. There's no rust on it. It still has the grease bucket hook on thing. We did have to buy an adapter, so because it uses the little camp propane, we bought an adapter for it to use our larger propane tank on it. But it was all in all fairly good. I want to say we spent almost $300 on this lot. We've already listed a couple things on it. We were listing some things last night, and this is where eBay keeps telling me if I list, it doesn't really matter the quality of the pictures, but if I list, it sells. I have an injury, so I wasn't listing last night. My husband was listing. I was ricing, for those of you that know, and we were going through stuff, and we were also listing on our bed because, again, we don't have a dedicated place to do eBay. We were listing on our bed, and we found at the bottom of a dollar box a bunch of vintage, a mixed lot of like vintage glass and plastic ornaments, like older, probably 40s to 50s, but they were rough. They've been well loved, been on a lot of people's trees. We actually debated back and forth, just tossing it. That's how bad of shape they were. But we were like, okay, you know what? We'll list it. We made very explicit in the pictures and in the description the quality. We even purposely took some really not amazing pictures of them. We didn't try to make them look prettier in the pictures. We very much emphasized the quality of them, and they sold in 5 minutes. They sold while we were listing the next item. So obviously we underpriced them. We put $9.99 on them. There was probably 12 or 13 of them total. But they were like missing tops, dirty. Some of them had some paint chipping on them. God forbid it's probably lead paint. But, well, I mean, lead paint would probably last longer. But we just threw $9.99 on there. And of course we had the, oh my gosh, that sold in 5 minutes. Did we list it too low? But then we both came back and were like, okay, we were okay with taking $9.99. We were going to throw them away, but we got $9.99 for them. It actually is going to cost more to ship them than it is for them to buy them. So, but I think as resellers, we have to be okay with not having regrets. Like, we got what we wanted for. This person did not offer us, a low ball offer. They paid outright. They paid exactly what we were expecting to get for them. We did not have to house them for a year. We did not have to store them for a year. We didn't have to worry about breaking them, which I did with a bunch of vintage Christmas light bulbs. We have a cat. He's appeared in some of our videos. Love him. He is so nosy. He's very much like a dog. He wants to be wherever you are all the time. We were grabbing some items to ship for eBay, and I moved the box of the glass Christmas glass Christmas light bulbs, like the big light bulbs, but these were actually vintage ones. These weren't new ones. And he jumped next to me right into the tub of the glass light bulbs and dumped them all over the floor, and they basically shattered. So I had those listed for almost a year, and he shattered them right before Christmas time. He shattered them back in October, and I was like, well, they're gone one way or another, I guess. So I'm like, this doesn't give him a chance to break. Having kids, having a cat, heck, I am super freaking clumsy. I drop things all the time. I'm surprised they stayed, honestly. So super happy they sold an old iPhone case, sold like an iPhone 4 sold. It was an OtterBox. It was new in box. It hadn't been opened. It was one of those things, again, we got in a dollar box, and it sold. A rubber date stamper sold, one of the ones that like spins sold. Other things that sold this past 2 weeks that kind of were surprising. I sold a large lot of 1960s and 70s Tucson rodeo slides to a like museum in Tucson. So I'm wondering if they're actually going to print photos off of them. They had like the rodeo parade with the rodeo queen and stuff like that. They were really cool slides, but I think it's kind of funny. I sold them to like a historic society, which I guess that's who I think would buy slides. I sold my vintage airplane slides to someone in London. I've had a lot of international sales recently. And I love those. I love doing eBay shipping. I know some people don't use eBay for shipping. They want to use like Pirate Ship or do it themselves. But especially when it comes to international shipping, I hands down will use eBay international shipping every single time because they have a hub in our state, which makes it really cheap for me to ship there. And I don't have to worry about it getting damaged before it can get there, really. So I love eBay international shipping. I honestly like shipping through eBay anyway. It's just easier for me. I'm not that big of a seller, and I don't have the bandwidth to figure out how to do that on my own. I'm sure people are like, it's super easy, all you can do. I don't have the bandwidth. I am too busy doing other stuff. Again, children, and having full-time jobs. This coming up, so what are our goals coming up? Obviously, it's the first of the year. We are going to set some ridiculous goals that we're not going to meet, and we probably will stop beforehand. Honestly, we stopped 2 days in. But in general, we really want to be able to list 5 items a day. I know that sounds so stupid between 2 people. You can't even list 5 items a day. Again, 3 children, multiple jobs, and being involved in everything. For me, injuring myself so I can't stand or sit well. So that's fun. But 5 items. So we either want to list 5 items from our death pile, or we want to donate 10 items. And so we missed that already. We stopped. So we've now adjusted it to 5 items a week or 10 items out. Either way, I will consider it a win getting those 10 items out. We have now started stockpiling for garage sale season. We are planning to have a garage sale, and it's iffy for us because we don't have like all women's extra large clothes or all men's large clothes. We have such a random mismatch of hard goods and clothes, and I have no baby items anymore, thank goodness. But those are big garage sale. Like when we sold our baby stuff, we made bank in our garage sale. But once we have all of our baby stuff gone, it kind of slowed down. It seemed like the main people out there were buying baby stuff. We don't have like a lot of miscellaneous buy my crap stuff. So our garage sale does go down. I found out we made better sales when I put it on Facebook Marketplace with specific items at the garage sale, and then I would just have people come pick it up. So we might do that again. We're trying to figure that out as we basically looked at our summer and realized we have no weeks at all this summer free between all of our children and camps and vacations and activities. So that may be a pipe dream. But, yeah, I'm still going through the book a lot here. I'm still going through all of the romance novels. Our huge book estate sale, I've started to lump them together. So I'm creating lots of romance novels, lots of children's books. I'm going to do a golden book lot pretty soon because there were several children's golden books in there. Just trying to get through them faster. We have 4 or 5 tubs still of books to go through, and they're just taking up so much room. So I want to be able to go and just get that out of here. We've had it for too long. We've had it for almost 3 years. I'm going to list this. They're fairly quick to list. It just takes up room to list them. So hopefully we'll get this all done. Thank you for watching my video. Please like and subscribe and have a productive day.